So good morning to all. Welcome to this morning to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where it is our mission to grow together in love, faith, justice, and joy. My name is Xiomara Rodriguez. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, and I am so honored to serve as your worship associate this morning. Today we're meeting at the ancestral lands of the Paiute, Shoshone, and Washoe people, the original stewards of this land. I ask you to join me in acknowledging their heritage, their community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working together for a better future. Albert Einstein once said, any fool can know. The point is to understand. Socrates said, knowledge is the ultimate good. Miles Kingston said, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. With this in mind, I would like to welcome you all here. No matter where you're today, if inside the sanctuary or in the airways in Zoom, we welcome you all here regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender ID. We welcome you and we are so glad you're here. If this is the first time here or your 151st time, we are so glad that you're here. If this is your first time, please take one of these yellow cards that is in the seat in front, back of the seat in front of you. This little yellow cards you could fill it out and then put it in the basket, and then you could receive our monthly email, our weekly email, which has all kinds of good stuff in it, all kinds of really good stuff and activities to do. So please fill it out. We ask all to respect folks who choose to continue social distance, practice open communication with one another, and be intentional about honoring personal boundaries. To those of you on Zoom, stay on following the service for coffee time conversations. So no matter where you are today, we welcome you and we hope you enjoy our service. Like always, we have announcements. Oh my God. First announcement is from Paul. Paul wants to remind us about a rally outside the Legislative Building in Carson City, Nevada. Share of National Remembrance 4 to 7, July 17th. So please, let's continue being active. Nathan couldn't be here, so he gave me his announcements. So here we go. Be sure to check your calendar in the gathering room for upcoming events and pop-ups this month, like the Create Your Own Slime Party happening on July 19th in partnership with the Great Basin Outdoor School. And if you're interested in attending a pop-up event, please be sure to register online. There are flyers in the gathering room with more information. Reminder to sign the petition in the gathering room to support UUFNN in building a playground this upcoming year. Yes, I'm in for the playground. I am all in for this playground, please. This initiative was created by our youth Chalice Camp in June. So now I am going to call my friend Gaia to come up. She has a few announcements.
Well, if you are here for the first time or for the 101st time, I've got an offer for you. After the service today, we are revving up again our, we're calling them belonging sessions, learning about Unitarian Universalism. Today it will be heritage, the heritage and history of Unitarian Universalism and this fellowship. So you'll learn all about it. If you want to know why J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI had the Unitarian Universalist Association in its crosshairs, come and find out. That and more. That'll be at 11:45 Kitty Corner in the library. Also, next Sunday, right after the service, there will be an ice cream social out back there, sponsored by your dedicated team of worship associates. So we'll see you there with our scoops and our toppings for the ice cream next Sunday.
And she's back. So can you help me, please, with the chalice lighting? Thank you. And the candle stayed on. Our chalice lighting today is from a while ago. We used to say every time, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. And now, how about if we take a couple of seconds, minutes, to greet one another. Remember, social distancing, for those that require social distancing, you could wave, elbow, fist, but my favorite, hug if they let you hug. So how about if we greet one another now?
Welcome. My name is Chris Pekars, and my pronouns are he, his, him, and I'm glad to be serving here today on this warm summer morning. Before I talk too much, I'm doing an experiment today to see how my oxygen levels work while I'm speaking. Normally I desaturate, so if you see me fiddling with this thing, pulse oximeter, nothing is wrong. It's just gathering information. So if I put it on, take it off, whatever, don't worry, I'm not about to faint on you. And by the way, I'm at 96%, so excellent. Last Wednesday, I had dinner with my good friend Philip. He is a master at asking interesting questions, and while we ate, he asked me what message can Unitarian Universalism, and more specifically, our fellowship, deliver right now to our community. My reply, not to toe the company line, was that love is at the center. When I was in my early 20s, I used to think that peace and love was a groovy 60s hippie thing to say. But during my first serious spiritual journey, studying compassionate Buddhism and the practice of loving kindness, I began to understand what loving one another, compassionate love versus romantic love, really meant. I told Philip that I know this is the right path because I feel it in my bones, in my soul. The more loving I've become, the happier I am, the calmer I am. Living in hate, outrage, divisiveness, attacking the other, whoever the other is corrosive, not just for our society, but for the individual. This rang home with me the other day looking at a picture of President Trump's latest cabinet meeting. None of them, Trump included, looked happy. All of them looked hard, angry, petulant. I contrasted that photo to pictures from the Obama and Biden administration. While sometimes the mood in the pictures was serious, there are many more photos of laughter and smiles. While love is at the center, one of the tenets of Unitarian Universalism around that center is a free and open search for truth and meaning. Unitarian Universalists are avid seekers, curious people engaged in understanding the mystery of, well, everything, all the questions. The meaning of life. What is justice? Morality. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Is that dress blue and black or white and gold? All the questions. In my homily, I will be exploring what this search encompasses and why it's not just a simple platitude. But first, please rise in body and or spirit and join Sam and our choir in singing hymn number 143, Not in Vain, the Distant Beacons.
Story for today is from Source Unknown, and it's titled, We Might As Well Dance. I arrived at the address and honked the horn. After waiting for a few minutes, I honked again. Since this was going to be my last ride of the day, okay, I did something wrong. Since this was going to be my last ride of my shift, I thought about just driving away. But instead, I put the car in park and walked up the door and knocked. Just a minute, answered a frail, elderly voice. I could hear something being dragged across the floor. After a long pause, the door opened. A small woman in her 90s stood before me. She was wearing a printed dress and a pillbox hat with a veil pinned on it, like something out of the 1940s movies. She reminded me of my abuela. By her side was a small nylon suitcase. The apartment looked as if one had lived in it for years. All of the furniture was covered with sheets. There were no clocks on the walls, no knickknacks, no utilities on the counter. In the corner was a cardboard box filled with photos and glasses. Would you carry my bag to the car? She said. I took the suitcase to the cab and returned to assist the woman. She took my arm and we walked slowly towards the curb. She kept thanking me for my kindness. It's nothing, I told her. I just try to treat my passengers the way I would like my abuela to be treated. Oh, you're such a good girl, she said. When we got in the cab, she gave me the address and then asked, could you drive through town? It's not the shortest way, I answered quickly. Oh, I don't mind, she said. I'm in no hurry. I'm on my way to a hospice. I looked in the rearview mirror. Her eyes were glittering. I don't have any family left, she continued in a soft voice. The doctors say I don't have very long. I quietly reached over and shot the meter. What route would you like to take? I asked. For the next 2 hours, we drove through the city. She showed me the building where she once worked as an elevator operator. We drove through the neighborhood where she and her husband had lived when they were newlyweds. She had me pulled in front of a furniture warehouse that had once been a ballroom where she had gone dancing as a girl. Sometimes she'll ask me to slow in front of a particular building on a corner and we'll sit staring into the darkness, saying nothing. As the first hit, the sun was creasing the horizon. She suddenly said, I'm so tired. Let's go. We drove in silence to the address she had given me. It was a low building, like a small convalescent home, with a driveway that passed under a portico. 2 orderlies came out and grabbed to the cab as soon as we pulled up. They were solicitous and intent, watching her every move. They must have been expecting us. I opened the trunk and took out the small suitcase. To the door, the woman was already seated in a wheelchair. How much do I owe you? She said, reaching into her purse. Nothing, I said. You have to make a living, she answered. There are other passengers, I responded. Almost without thinking, I bent and gave her a big hug. She held me so tightly. You gave an old woman a little moment of joy, she said. Thank you. I squeezed her hand and then walked into the dim morning light. Behind me, a door shut, It was the sound of the closing of a life. I didn't pick up any more passengers that shift. I drove aimlessly, lost in my thoughts. For the rest of the day, I would hardly talk. What if that woman had gotten an angry driver or one who was impatient to end her shift? What if I had refused to take a run or honk once and then driven away? On a quick review, I don't think that I have done anything more important in my life. We're conditioned to think that our life revolved around great moments, but great moments often catch us unaware, beautiful wrapped in what others may consider small ones. People may not remember exactly what you did or what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Life may not be a party. Life might not be the party we hope, but while we're here, we might as well dance.
And now we enter our time of prayer and meditation. But first, a few joys and concerns. From JJ, she's asking for prayers for her dog Stevie, who is struggling. He is the love of her life. And as we all know, our furry companions do much to enrich our lives. Maya, back there in the sound booth. Hi, Maya. Joy, she is leaving at the end of the month for 4 months of study at the Costa Rica School of Massage Therapy. She is looking forward to caring for us upon her return. Yay! And for Richard Dalton, a friend of his, Larry Marks, died yesterday. Please send our prayers and thoughts for the guys in our dinner group and his circle of friends. Thank you. And now, take a moment to bring your attention into this space. Relax, settle in, stretch if you need to. Feel your breath and allow your breathing to slowly slow. Focus on it. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Once more, breathe in, out. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Imagine you are in a beautiful meadow. Around you are tall grasses and flowers. The air is fresh, the breeze soft, the temperature perfect. Insects hum and birdsong fills the air. Before you is a tree towering into the sky. As you walk towards the tree, you see a doorway with an elaborate brass doorknob and keyhole. Looking down, you are surprised to find a key in your hand. You unlock the door and walk into the tree, finding yourself in a room made of living wood infused with a golden light. You feel at home, safe, and you suddenly realize where you are. You are standing within a tree of knowledge, your tree of knowledge. All around you, written on the walls of the room in letters almost too small to read, are the experiences of your life. And as you follow the writing around and around the room, you eventually reach the end of the writing. But as you stand there, you see new words appearing, your knowledge expanding as you move forward in your life. New experiences, new learning. When you leave your tree and return to the meadow, look around. You realize that the meadow is a clearing in a vast forest. There are all types of trees: oaks, pines, fruit trees, willows, quaking aspens, of all ages, saplings, small trees, and true giants. You realize that you are surrounded by other people's trees, all at different stages of life, all with their own knowledge, their own experiences. Feel yourself, your life within, and the connectedness to the lives of all of those around you. Just enjoy a moment in this quiet place. And when you are ready, and in your own time, bring yourself and your attention back to this space. Feel your breath again, in and out, and open your eyes. Stretch and move if you wish. Reconnect to the space and the community around you. Blessings to all. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, choir. Last month, I was listening to Fresh Air on NPR. Quick plug, please support public radio and television. The show was an interview with Amanda Hess, author of the book Second Life, Having a Child in the Digital Age. When Hess was 7 months pregnant, a routine ultrasound revealed that her baby appeared to be sticking out his tongue. She was charmed by the visual, but then her doctor warned her that it might be a sign of a rare genetic condition. Her doctor told her that her son might have something syndrome, a name she didn't catch, but she immediately knew that was bad, because where in medicine is there a good syndrome? What followed was a flood of additional ultrasounds, MRIs, genetic testing, and consultations with specialists. Eventually, it was confirmed that her son had Beckwith-Weidman syndrome, a genetic disorder that can cause overgrowth such as an enlarged tongue, enlarged abdominal organs, asymmetrical limb growth, and a host of other problems. Not surprisingly, Hess turned to the internet for answers. She Googled the disorder, read tabloid news stories, Reddit threads, listened to dubious podcasts, and on and on. The last 2 months of her pregnancy were filled with fear, anxiety, and distress. When her son was born, she clenched her eyes shut and started crying. She asked her husband how the baby looked, and he replied, "He's beautiful." All of her research and anxiety had made her afraid to meet her son, but after his birth, those fears dissipated. She realized he was a person, and all of the imagined images of him and abstractions of potentially negative lives dissolved. At the time of the interview, her son is now 4 years old, healthy but with some minor health problems related to Beckwith-Weidman syndrome, problems that will likely diminish as he grows older, since most of the serious effects of the syndrome occur in infancy and early childhood. She said at the end of the interview that if she had access to an embryo machine where she could program everything she desired into what would become her son, she would never have been able to design the miracle he actually is and the daily joy he brings her life. As I mentioned at the beginning of this service, Unitarian Universalists are seekers of truth. More specifically, that we are called to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. But like many things in Unitarian Universalism, simple words hide deep waters. In her interview, Amanda Hess talked about how the flood of information filled her with anxiety that devoured the final months of her pregnancy, and filled her with fear that her son would be a monster, at best horribly disfigured, and at worst dying in infancy. She went on to say that information is not knowledge, and that it wasn't until she had an actual experience with her son that she truly understood what his diagnosis meant. And only then was she free to embrace the miracle of new life, the miracle of a new person. That sentence is what formed the germ of this homily. Trying the experiment one step further. Information is basically structured data, the necessary foundation to understanding the world around us. But without context, without experience, it just becomes noise. In fact, too much information can be almost worse than too little, flooding our ability to make sense of it. The problem is compounded today by the magic glass and metal oracle boxes most of us carry around with us. Never before in history has it been easier to gather information about the world around us. There is a newish term in common use today, going down an internet rabbit hole, and it's something nearly all of us do, digging into a topic or idea that sparks our curiosity. Less than 30 years ago, such a spark would have required a visit to the library and hours of research manually combing through papers and books and microfilm and who knows what else, to accomplish what we can now do from our couches or our bedrooms in a handful of minutes. Lies, propaganda, and misinformation, as I've always been out there, as have conspiracy theories. The man on the grassy knoll was created, and the moon landing was proven to be fake 40 years before the internet. But now more than ever, our search for information can become further complicated since bad information is so much easier to generate and distribute. I've spoken about my own illness and disability in several other homilies. My initial diagnosis back in 2006 was third-degree heart block. One of my flaws is that I overanalyze things. So when confronted with a new thing, whether it's a hobby or an illness, I go digging for information. But I've always been fairly skeptical of most things I read, so I try to get to source material. I tend to skip the easy summaries, especially when I don't know anything about the person who wrote that summary. While the internet didn't have quite so much stuff on it in 2006 as it does now, I still found plenty to read. I dove into articles that begin with things like this. Third-degree atrioventricular block, also referred to as third-degree heart block or complete heart block, is an abnormal heart rhythm resulting from a defect in the cardiac conduction system in which there is no conduction through the atrioventricular node, leading to complete disassociation, and on and on and on. You get the idea what kind of articles I was reading. I figured that in order to understand my health and my future health challenges, I would need to understand electrophysiology, which is the subspecialty of cardiac medicine that deals with the heart's electrical system. While I had the brains to understand what I was reading, I soon realized that I didn't have the anatomical understanding to put it into context, so I started studying anatomy. After a few weeks of this, it dawned on me that what I was doing was a waste of time. Doctors spend 4 years in medical school, years in residency, years in studying their specialty, and then a lifetime in clinical practice. What was I going to do with even an extensive amount of amateur study? Spend every appointment arguing with my doctor about what my treatment should be? Once the disease underlying my third-degree heart block was identified, I Googled this as well. And again, as I'm sure you're aware, if you Google any disease, the answer is usually cancer or death. Mole, it's cancer. Toothache, cancer. Indigestion, ruptured stomach, then death. I spent years wallowing in anxiety and depression, dreading my future, sure that an early earthly departure was coming. The silver lining here is that this existential dread is what drew me here to UUFNN, so yay that. I basically went down the same spiral Amanda Hess did, imagining the worst based on the information I found out about my disease. But I've kept not dying, and I'm now approaching 20 years of living since my initial visit to the cardiac intensive care unit. What Amanda Hess and I both discovered is that experience is what makes sense out of information. Information organizes data, but you need to add meaning and context and experience to turn that into knowledge. By the way, 95% still. Woohoo! Gathering information, turning it into knowledge. Hey. Knowledge is information put to use, put into context. Information is the what, knowledge is the why. Backing up a bit, when I talk about information, the concept that most readily leaps to mind is the written word or perhaps audio or video, stuff that other people have assembled from looking at data, usually in the form of journalism or science. But of course, that's not the only type of information that we use to build knowledge. At the most basic level, there is direct interaction with raw data, our interaction with the world around us. That's something we're all doing right now. Our prehistoric ancestors didn't write things down, and of course, animal and insects don't write things down, or at least as far as we can tell. But early people living on the savanna or here in northern Nevada had plenty of knowledge, experience gleaned about what plants were good to eat, what plants to avoid, where dangerous predators might be. Likewise, animals learn and acquire knowledge from living in their world. If they didn't, they're going to end up as somebody's dinner. It's this personal contact with data and converting that data into information and information into knowledge that is the basis of living. It's also why parents are frustrated by teenagers who don't listen to their obviously sage advice. The parent knows from experience that the current romantic love interest is a doof and a liar. They know this because they themselves dated doofs and liars. Unfortunately, their child won't listen because parents are old and they don't know what real love is. I would be remiss if I didn't mention another critical source of information, our shared past, our history. This is the reason why a clear and objective understanding of our past is so important. As the saying goes, those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. The current trend, particularly the Make America Great Again movement, is attempting to wash controversy and complexity out of our history, but pretending that slavery didn't happen, that land wasn't stolen from Native peoples, isn't going to make America great again. In fact, it will probably accomplish the opposite, recreating the white male dominance that stood for most of America's 250 years and all the harm that returning to that era entails. As I said, Unitarian Universalists are seekers. Our faith tradition honors and looks for truth, and that helps us build lives of worth and meaning. When Philip asked me what our message should be in this day and age, I answered love. But I think I can expand on that our message should also be truth, that we can and must serve as a counterpoint to the attempts to rewrite our history, to twist and erase recent events like the January 6 riots, to stand up for those who are being demonized for being in outgroups or trying to eliminate DEI. We're not standing up, sorry, for the people trying to eliminate DEI initiatives, but get my idea. Because they can't be bothered to understand other people. While we can and will make mistakes, the truth we seek, the truth we find, the truth we protect is not just our echo chamber being woke or politically correct. Love, loving compassion, empathy, kindness, the continuing expansion of who we view as equally human, that we are them and they are us, and not just some mythological other. That is the proof that the work we do here is the right work, the correct work, that ours is a journey towards moral rightness. Thank you. Do I announce the song?
As we approach this time for our offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, for the church that meant so much for those that came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to people you will never know. Give what you will, for you are a generous people. For those of us that are here physically together at the sanctuary, we will be passing the basket. For those of us that are on Zoom, you can do your offering virtually by following the steps on the screen. Here at UUFNN each month, we also give folks the opportunity to share our generosity by sharing with a designated nonprofit organization. The Share the Plate recipient for July is Farmally. Farmally empowers children in Reno, Tahoe area to learn and practice social emotional skills as they plant, tend to, harvest, and prepare a wide variety of nutrients-rich fruits and veggies in our organic garden. Our curriculum is designed to connect children to nature while fostering curiosity to encourage healthy habits. We teach children from 6 Boys and Girls Club of the Truckee Meadows location, gardening skill, cooking classes, and healthy lifestyles. Thank you for your generosity. Now let the offering begin. about if we all help me and Nancy with the blessing of our offering, the work of this fellowship, which is to help more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy, and dedicate ourselves and these our offering. Okay, now I was reminded that if you could please stand in body or soul for hymn 339, They Say. Could we do this?
Please remain standing as we extinguish our chalice and close with our benedictions. If you're comfortable, join hands. If not, simply cross your hands over your heart for our closing benediction. May we all remain curious seekers. And as we gather more information, gain more experience, build that information into knowledge, may we reach the peak of the pyramid, a life filled with wisdom. Our worship is over. Let our service begin. Amen. Blessed be, and namaste.